Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Good evening. I hope everybody can hear me. Um, let's just give
Yes.
it a couple of minutes and we'll wait for people to join and then inshallah we'll start. Okay. All right. I think we have enough attendees to start. So let's begin with our session. And I'm your host, Samir, and I will be facilitating this webinar for you all. And today we have our guest speaker, Mr. Mohammad Ali Shalan. And I would like to just take a couple of minutes to brief you all about Mr. Shalan, what's his background and what does he do. So Mohammad Shalan is the editor of a book titled Innovative and Agile Contracting for Digital Transformation and Industry 4.0 that was published in IGI Global in 2021. He's a passionate advocate of project economy, digital transformation, Industry 4.0, governance, innovative contracts, smart resilient cities, including environmental ecosystems. He's also an author, a guest speaker, and a researcher with published books, chapters, articles, and presentation. He's a very well certified professional, multidisciplined, motivated business technology interpreter. He's holding 9 well-recognized certificates and he also attended different training classes in 12 countries across 4 continents. During his professional journey, Mr. Shalan has worked with major operational assignments, portfolios, programs, projects that are spanning in more than 50 countries with distributed activities, multiple vendors, numerous dependencies, heavy correspondence, and multiple disciplined contractors. Some assignments were more than 50 million USD. And currently, Mr. Shalan is also volunteering as a VP of Digital Transformation in the PMI KSA, Saudi Arabia. So today's webinar, we are trying to discuss on the role of Transformation Office, where we'll be discussing with Mr. Shalan on connecting the dots between different digital transformation initiatives, programs, projects, in addition to the surrounding ecosystem that is required to support the journey. And the objectives will be to understand the digital transformation journey and schools that these digital transformation journeys follow, explaining the role of TMO and its correlation, amplifying the need of solid ecosystems to deliver and optimize the digital transformation value. So, without further ado, I will hand it over to Mr. Shalan. Over to you to take us through this remaining part of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Uh, Actually, today I have two things to talk about before. First of all, thank you very much for being my KSA as well for you, Samir, and for our attendees. I have two things to mention before I go into the bulk of my presentation. The first thing is about the digital government initiative, measuring the performance of digital performance or digital transformation performance out of the governmental and semi-governmental organizations. And maybe you have noticed that in few days, it was the announcement of the winners, let's say, or at least how was the scale for entities that have participated into this score. And we see like in here that a lot of organizations have jumped, like in here on the left, you'll see a lot of organizations have jumped multiple grades actually in this scale for this year. And here, like here, as you see, Wizard al-Taqa is going 70% improvement. So it's really amazing that some entity can go this amount. As well, we will have like a lot of entities have changed, and some we have, if we compare 2021 to 2022, we will see, for example, the number of ranking is increasing, and we have the number of entities rather than 193, it's now 217, so 217. So we see the number of entities that is measured is increasing. As well, we see the ranking is increasing from 69.39 into 80.96. So it's a real improvement. On the same time, actually, we have like some entities have gone into innovation, others have gone into integration. So we see a lot of entities actually is getting a good ranking in this scale. And just to get you some information about the DGA, how it's the journey of DGA, which is measuring these entities actually, we'll see like this started in March. So it was 13th of March, 2022, when they announced the measures and how, because these measures are evolving and every year it's changing. So next year or 2023 will be the 11th measure. Currently it's the 10th one. So in 2023 it will be the 11th measure. And of course there will be new criteria evaluating these organizations. So as you see here, it was on 13th of March, the first launch of the criteria. Then there was opening the system, and they gave like 2 months for people to fill into the system, entities to fill into the system, which is automated, to answer the questions and measure themselves against the criteria. Then after that, there will be a verification mode for 2 months as well in May and June. And then in July, and there will be a kind of correction in case we saw there is some corrections or something like this. They open like if Neolio and August for corrections, then another verification period, it will come in August to October. And usually in November, every November, they announce these entities who are the winners and who are how is the scale is coming for everyone. So this is a very important journey, and it's worth mentioning, and it's worth also monitoring. So I think everyone who is interested in digital transformation in general, especially in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, will need to follow up this. Usually you will find it in the DGA governmental. You see here, it's okay. This is the one. So in here, no, this is wrong. It's a wrong URL. Okay, I'll correct it. But usually it's in the DGA. You will find all this information coming in the DGA website, which is Digital Government Authority. So this is the first thing I need to mention. The other thing I need to mention actually is we choose today to have this webinar instead of usually we make it tomorrow on Tuesday. And the reason is that to avoid the game between KSA and Argentina actually. So we avoid this, but of course we see a lot of people also is engaged in the World Cup. So just okay. So these two pieces that I need to mention before. Then I will go into the bulk of this presentation. And in this presentation, actually, what we are trying to do is we are trying to make it a kind of the journey, the full journey, how to plan for a digital transformation journey, how to make initiatives, how to make programs, how to measure them, and then how to manage them as well. So this is like a journey. And also in the middle, we will talk about, for example, Transformation Management Office, which is composed of a lot of things. So this is actually will be, and I'll try to talk about 40 minutes about this presentation. Then we will keep some time for the attendees questions. In case you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can put it in the chat or in the Q&A as well. And our host, Mr. Samir, will be taking care about it. And in case you have something you need to mention, maybe also Samir can take care about it. You can write it in the chat. First thing we need to talk about is about the digital transformation itself and how we define digital transformation. And digital transformation or digital business transformation, and this is very important. You see in this definition, we find business 3 times, while we find technology 1 time. So that is to focus that transformation is about business. It's not about technology only. And when we are talking about transformation, we need to mention that this is a journey to adopt and deploy digital technologies, so that, and business models also. So it's not only enough to utilize only technologies. We have sometimes to change the business models so that we can change and see what we are doing. And then we need to improve the performance of the business, or sometimes we need to create a new future for the business. And this is a very important thing that we need to focus on. The other aspect of digital transformation, that it is blurring the line. When we are talking digital transformation, we are talking about the digital world. So we have digital technologies, we have emerging technologies, we have all this kind of technology that's emerging since 1 century or some. And then we are merging this digital with the physical as well. So when we are talking about merging it with physical, meaning that we will get actual results on our work bench desks, and we will talk about this physical as well. Currently, there's another engagement with biological. So you see, for example, identity management, you see capturing of virtual reality, you see capturing of a lot of biological parameters, as well for business intelligence and some related activities. So this is very important, that digital transformation is blurring the lines between these 3 words. So this is very important thing that we need to mention. One more thing is very important also for digital transformation. It is a journey, and we need to take care very much about how we are funding this journey, because this journey is not a simple journey. Usually it will take some time, and we have to take care about funding as well, planning and contracting for this journey. And the reason for this, we have like RevOps, we have DevOps, we have a lot of terminologies coming on. RevOps meaning how we create revenues out of operations. Because, for example, if we are making a digital transformation journey for a smart city that will last for 10 years or 20 years, then we have to merge between operations as well between revenue generation. Other than this, then will be the project itself or the program itself will be bankrupt, and will not find the money to fund this project. So this is very important, how you fund this project. This is very important aspect. We need to take care about it. And also we need to manage between the short-term products and the short-term engagements and the long-term engagements. So this is very important thing. The 4th thing that I need to mention before I go into the bulk of the presentation is to have the kind of inception phase. Inception phase is very important for digital transformation. And this is a big mistake that some people is going into the kind of this transformation journey without inception. And usually this will create a lot of fire back on them, on the people who are designing and implementing this. If you go to the BMI, actually, this is just a page from the BMI, and BMI is mentioning the inception page in disciplined agile. It's not a kind of, it's not mentioned in the waterfall approaches usually, because in waterfall, you have something that is well defined. But in disciplined agile, you are talking about disciplined phase in which you need to form the team, as you see here. You need to form the team, you need to align with the enterprise direction, you need to explore the scope. So a lot of things you need to take care about them. As well, you need to plan how to release the software or the products, the strategy itself, then a lot of things, as well the funding thing. So this is very important thing. And you need also take care about people. So you have to develop the common vision. So this is very, very important, and never start a digital transformation journey without inception phase, because this is dangerous thing that some people are doing, and they are being or fire back on them. Then we will start how we will make the journey successful. So this journey, first of all, we need to define the kind of vision and mission for the journey itself. I'm not saying, okay, and then aligning this with the organization or with whatever. For example, if we are having a digital transformation journey here to make Jeddah, for example, as a city, like the 3rd best smart city in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, then this is our vision. Our mission will be to replan and develop Jeddah as a smart district or smart areas. And then we will achieve these major goals that we are trying to achieve for Jeddah. And then we will plan these goals. This is very important how we manage this, how we put a vision and mission that's clear and distributed to the team who are doing it. Out of this mission and vision, we will start with crafting the strategy. And maybe Samir is the strategy expert actually, so he can guide us in some aspects. But let me, Samir, allow me just to talk about something about strategy, and maybe you can add additional points. So usually in strategy, and usually, especially in what we are talking about digital transformation strategy, then it's not like what we have done before a few years. Before a few years, we used to write books actually about strategy. So we will plan for an organization, we'll spend 1 month or 1 year even drafting a big strategy that is 100 pages, 200 pages, something like this. Today, actually, this was not working, and we have to be very concise. We have to draft our strategy in limited time. So in here, we identify the short-term and long-term strategies. For example, if we are talking about Jeddah as a smart city, then we need to identify areas that can be upgraded as smart districts in Jeddah. So we'll identify the points. We will work on the infrastructure that we are talking about. We need to establish the solid engagement with the vision team, as well with the other teams, like, for example, municipalities, other entities, as well the Saudi vision. Then we need to ensure high value deliverables and how we will sustain the funding for this. Additionally, you will integrate about some financial institutes, we'll see. Then we'll start talking about the teams. For example, we'll attract and upskill and retain employees. Then we need to, after we identify our areas that we need to work on, then identify our team as well, our funding strategy. Then we will go to write the right engagement model for technologies as well for stakeholders. Then we go, this is just an example actually. It's not a for real example, but just I'm trying to find the steps. Then we need to define the operation model for the smart city, because this is a killing area in smart cities, and also how to link this, for example, to the ESG goals for environment, social and governance, so that we can get the value. So usually this is a kind of short and long-term strategy point that we are talking about, and we need to mention these things. So this is one thing. Then after that, actually, also we will build the pictorials of strategy. So in here, we will put in this pictorial, for example, what is the finance pictorial, how we can have the rough ops model so that we can generate our money back and from operation. Then we need to see the customer experience or the customer expectations, how customer will be engaged in our digital transformation journey, because this is very important. It's the customer as well, our workers, everyone who need to collaborate, and every stakeholder need to collaborate. He need to have his kind of involvement. Also, we need to talk about the internal operations. Sometimes when you are talking about journey for transformation, then you are having a lot of points that we need to discuss and to talk about the functional activities, sometimes about how to manage this transformation team. As well, you would need to take care about infrastructure. And this infrastructure is usually sometimes a killing point, because sometimes we build something on the here or there, but it's not supported by the infrastructure. And by this stage, it will not be a winning team or a winning project. So this is a kind of how we put the pictorials as well the strategic goals in short and long term. That's fine, Samir?
Yes, definitely. Yes. Actually, you mentioned something very important and critical. It's about understanding the bigger picture and then breaking it down to actionable items or initiatives that can be linked to the objectives ultimately. And this slide, if you allow me, also talks about the balanced approach for an organization. You're looking at the financial, you're looking at the customer, you're looking at the internal operations, which are enabled by the infrastructure. So you're really embedding the whole digital transformation in the, let's say, DNA of the organization. I think that's really important. And it's very well said by you.
Actually, this is very important. Yes, exactly what you said, to build it in the DNA, because if people are not on board, it will be very difficult, because there is a kind now there's a term currently we are saying it coming, like we have emotional intelligence, now we have cultural intelligence. And unless it's the culture, the organization, the whole culture of the organization is supporting this, it will be very difficult to run a digital transformation journey. And
Yes.
maybe there's one big say for Peter Drucker. He's saying that
Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
exactly. So culture can eat strategy for breakfast. So we have to work with culture. It's very important thing.
Absolutely.
Yes. One more thing actually I need also to mention about is about also how we identify the stakeholders. Identifying the stakeholders in digital transformation journey is very important. And I need to, you see here on this, you see here, just I'm trying to mention if this is a document or it's a table. That's why I'm putting this Excel sheet or a sheet here. So usually we have to build a table for stakeholders, and then to identify if these stakeholders, first of all, who are the stakeholders? Because usually in digital transformation journey, you are talking about a huge kind of stakeholders. For example, if you are talking about smart city, then you are talking about the clients, the government, the investors, you are talking about the service providers, you are talking about industrial clients, commercial clients, residential clients. So there is a lot of people you need to take care about them. Similarly, actually, you need to listen to the expectation. Every one of these stakeholders will have his expectation out of this transformation project. So it's very important that you deliver this, you listen to everyone and put it in somehow that it will be, listen, we need to listen to everyone. Also need to manage the promises. When you are making a digital transformation journey, you cannot, for example, go and overpromise. If you overpromise and you will not deliver, then if everyone will start saying, okay, this is not the successful, you need to define the success criteria so that everyone will be aligned with you and you deliver what you promised to do. Also, you need to talk about the engagement, meaning that engagement, everyone will need to know his role in this. Other than this, actually, it will be very difficult to get people on board.
Yes.
One of the major stakeholders is usually the higher management. Usually, you need to manage your managers. Unless you are able also to manage your managers, then you might be in some troubles, because usually you will make some direction change during the program. And in case you make this change, if you are not backed up and supported by your higher management, then it will be very difficult for you to continue, because you will have fire back from your management as well from your audiences.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something very important there, is to set the expectations from the stakeholders, both positive or negative, and more importantly, get the buy-in of the top management. And again, it goes back to the earlier point that you mentioned, is linking the culture with, and the culture starts from the top. So if your leaders have that buy-in and they believe in this, then it will be relatively easy for you to cascade it down to the operational level. So very important slide, again, very valuable information, Mr. Hana.
Thank you. Okay, now if we go to the technology part, after we have identified our strategic objectives, our strategic pictorials, we have identified our stakeholders, then we go to also to see our technologies. The technologies, as you see, actually, this is the Gartner Hype, and usually it is every year it's published by Gartner, and there's a lot of organizations who are publishing all of these kind of technologies. Some technologies are coming into the market, some technologies are leaving the market every month or every time, and gradually at every time in the point of time. So usually you need to have a look on this kind of technologies. Then you need to choose a technology that is relevant to your project. We will not start with a technology. We will start with the need. We will start with a problem. We will start with a requirement. Then we will go into choosing the right technology for this. Other than this, we will be, because it's not a matter of how we use these technologies and put these technologies into our arena. The same thing actually is how we listen also to the challenges, because sometimes there is a challenge, and usually we put a kind of cards for the challenges. So usually there is a challenge card. You'll see later on there will be a kind of project card, initiative card, something like this. So all these things we are trying to make it so that you will help us to plan for the journey. So in case, just to summarize actually the points that we have started talking about, maybe, and so that we get everyone focused with this presentation, we will start usually the some signs on the road. We will start with the mission and vision, and that's what we start with this journey. Then we will go into strategic objectives, and we will have the strategic goals, define them. After we identify them, we go to the strategic pictorials, so that every part of the organization is aligned and is we are talking practical, not theoretical, because sometimes we are going theory and people will not listen for this. And then we will identify our stakeholders. After that, we identify the emerging technologies that is good for us, and then we identify the challenges. While we identify all these things, then we are ready to start the journey. We did not start the journey. This will be the inception phase. This is why I'm saying you usually start any digital transformation journey with the inception phase. So this is very important. Once you identify this, then you can go to the next phase, which is you start making initiatives and the projects and prioritize these projects and initiatives. And at the same time, you need to focus on your enterprise architecture. You need to focus on your infrastructure. If this infrastructure is supporting your voice or not, because if you are putting, like, for example, a journey that was costing 20 millions and you don't have this funding for 10 years, then you have to be realistic. You have to put your figures correctly so that your journey is realistic and you can get value out of it. Then after you see here, we identify some projects. And in this project, this is the kind of project card. After we have all these points, we identify, like, for example, to get the digital transformation that we are thinking about, we are saying. Actually, in here, I just putting the cards for the project card, initiative card, challenge card. But what I'm planning actually is to have a we have a magazine, BMI KSA, and we will be publishing monthly. In this magazine, actually, maybe we will put a full use case or business case that's covering a real story for this journey. So here, this is the project card. In the project card, we put usually the initiative that is related to this project, as well the project number, then some project name and the owner, and we link it with the organization goals. We link it with some KPIs as well. We put the budget for it, we put the time frame and the objectives, so that everyone is aligned about this project and how it will support the full vision of the digital transformation journey. So we need to put maybe we put 10 projects, 20 projects, 30 projects. That will depend on how we identify our opportunities and how to see the future. At the same time, we will need to make a kind of initiative cards. These initiative cards is for every project. It will be part of initiative. For example, if I'm talking about smart city, then we have an initiative for infrastructure building. We will have another one for user experience. We will have a third initiative. And among this, for example, infrastructure, you will find how you will put the IoT, how you will put the cameras, how you will put the cabling, how you will put the lighting, how you put smart parking. All these are kind of infrastructure projects. So this will be the initiative. And then you will have like 10 projects behind this initiative. So you need to take care about how you are putting and defining your goals, your objectives, the time of completion, the cost, and everything. Then also sometimes you have to put some milestones for every initiative, because you will start prioritizing these initiatives and these projects, and what are kind of milestones, how you measure any one of these initiatives or any one of these projects. So this actually, and some objectives, so that you can sell to the people and tell them how to manage, or tell them what they can expect from you for this project. Here also, I talked about the infrastructure, and this is really very important thing, that when you are planning a digital transformation journey, this is a business journey. And I am telling everyone that transformation is a business journey. It is not a journey for technical or for technology, but you have to take care to make sure that your enterprise and your infrastructure is supported enough. So in here, as you see, we have the kind of enterprise architecture, and here we have multiple enterprise architectures. Like, for example, we have the FEAF, as well we have TOGAF, we have Zachman, and also here in Saudi Arabia we have Noura. Noura is the national overall reference architecture that is initiated and developed by Digital Government Authority, so that everyone can follow up and see. It's, as you see, it has a lot of components. I don't want to go technically deep in these components, but however, it's very important to understand this and to make sure that you have the technical people who are supporting you in this thing. Also, in the enterprise architecture, you need to focus that enterprise architecture is about, as you see here, you need to manage the security. This is one part. Security is very important. You manage the security. As well, you manage here also the service management, how you are managing the service. On top of it, you will have the governance and enablers, because anywhere where you have some innovation, where you have some, it's very important that you have kind of governance. Other than this, you will not be able to control everything. And in these, we have 4 pillars, which is usually coming in the enterprise architecture. We have the business pillar, we have the information, we have the application, as well we have the infrastructure, meaning here infrastructure within the infrastructure is the technical pure infrastructure for the digital infrastructure for the digital journey. But all of this actually, like enterprise architecture, is related directly to the kind of digital transformation journey. Before I go on to the next slide, actually to focus one thing, it's no one size fits all. So when you see, for example, I'm talking about a big project, it might have 10 initiatives, 20 initiatives, and in these initiatives will find 100 projects, for example. While when you are going for another one, you'll find it's a small organization, so it will need like 3-4 initiatives to be enough with 10 projects. So this is very important. And when you are talking about this is very important also how you are managing this. Because the next slide, I will be showing the TMO, which is Transformation Management Office.
Yes, we just got a question, and probably this is the right time to ask the question. The question is coming from Mr. Ahmed Hussain, and he's saying that shall we consider it as a portfolio management as it includes many projects and processes? What do you think, Mr. Shanam?
Yes, exactly. Actually, it's a portfolio, and this portfolio finds some programs and some projects. So transformation is a journey, and you'll see when we are going to Transformation Office, you'll see how it's structured. Also, it is there with some value realization, some others. So this will be, this is the right question in the right time. As well, this is allow me to show that this next slide actually. So in next slide here, you will see how we are managing the journey. But as I say, it's not one size fits all. So in here, if it's a big organization, then we are talking about, first of all, we have the business owner who should initiate this, and this should be like the head of the organization. And actually, we see here, I mentioned about the DGA, and in DGA actually, and this 10th now, 10th journey for the digital entities in Saudi Arabia, and then see here in the ministries, the minister himself actually is following up this journey. In big organizations, it's the head of the organization are heading it. This is very important actually, that the owner or the business owner, who is the minister, someone is no delegation actually. Transformation journeys, there should be no delegation. Delegation is not accepted. And in here, this kind of business owner, then you will have a kind of board or steering committee, and this board or steering committee will be doing a lot of activities related to that project. At the same time, you will have here, and this is very important in here, the expert panel. Because this expert panel will have 2 rules actually. The expert panel will work before the project. It will work in the inception phase, so that they create all these things we mentioned in the inception, the objectives and the strategy and the stakeholder engagement models. It will be by this expert panel. And then we will have the alignment team here in the bottom. The alignment team is the team who need to align all these projects with the business. Because I will mention this in later on actually, some organizations prefer to run projectized initiatives, others might run functional initiatives. So we need to take care about how to manage this or that. So in here also what you see in the team, then this, after I mentioned this is the business owner, then you are talking about the board or steering committee, the expert panel, and the alignment panel. Then you are talking about how you are running this. And usually, currently, maybe the BMO name is being part of the TMO now. TMO is the Transformation Management Office, in which you will find the BMO for Project Management Office. You'll find the CMO, which is Change Management Office. You'll find SMO for Strategy Management Office. As well, you will find VMO, Value Management Office. And then you'll have the work streams who are doing the initiatives and managing these initiatives. And these will be like programs, portfolios, projects. So these kind here, you will find the portfolios, the programs, the projects, and then you will have a kind of work stream owners, and then you will have the initiative owner or project manager, for example, or program manager, or whoever doing this. So this structure is applicable, and we see it actually in big organizations, in big entities. You will find this because you are having a lot of people working on transformation, and then you should have a lot of people. For example, if you go to some ministries, you will find a kind of more than 100 initiatives running at the same time. Then that's a huge, or maybe 100 projects, let's say, running at the same time. And in this, you have to have a lot of people. And when I mentioned in the first, some organizations have jumped like 70 degrees in 1 year. That means that they have huge projects running at the same time, so that they can get this kind of huge jump. Other than this, it will be very difficult for them to jump if they don't have multiple initiatives at the same time. And then you need to have a kind of this structure, which is a TMO with all these in the, okay, we are talking about bureaucracy or something, but sometimes we need this. Really, we need this so that we can keep aligned and focused. And then we are talking about the work streams who are doing the job. At the same time, we are talking about the aligned functions, like, for example, training, learning and research. And this learning and research is very important today, because in digital transformation journeys, you are planning and you are changing your mind and you are making new initiatives. So you have to research every time and to learn every time. It will be very difficult if you don't do this. Then you have the HR team, so that you have your calibers, you have your team trained, hired, something like this. You will see who will be on the board, who will not be on the board, something like this. And also the communication. The communication is very important, how we communicate across all the team and across everyone. So this is very important thing. This is applicable where you have big organization. In some organizations, maybe you have only one guy or two guys in every function, so that it's managed. It will depend on how you are managing and what is the size of your transformation journey. So this is very important thing that we need to talk about. How you see this, Samir?
Yeah, I think this is very valuable, and I have a couple of questions myself actually, and probably the audience may also have the questions in terms of the expert panel. So are these expert panel within the organization, or do you think they are outside the organization? Or is this expert advisory that we can outsource for organizations?
Usually it's a mix, because the people in the organization who are the people who are exactly knowing their business and they can talk about the business. But sometimes you need some people from externally, either to run certain functionalities. For example, if you don't have someone expert in change management, then you have to find someone expert in change management and put him in this panel while you are planning. And also sometimes you need some technical expertise. So if you need someone who is expert in BIM technology for real estate, or someone who is expert in IoT, then you have to have this kind of digital twins, these kind of technologies that you might not find someone on the right time in your organization. So you have to have this team at least planning for you, helping you, and then part of the outcomes of this, we'll see maybe you can have a kind of training program for your team and something like this. So it should be a mix between internal and external resources based on the real evaluation of yourself as well of your team. It's very important to be realistic. Usually in transformation, you need to be authentic actually. Unless you are authentic, then you are either a dreamer or you are just not doing anything. So usually you need to be authentic with yourself, so that this is what I can do, this is what I cannot do. And that's why you need the business owner to be on board.
Yes, actually, and I think that's very important, and it goes back to the first slide that you mentioned about the inception phase. Is you need to document what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to the organization. and especially when you're doing such big or initiatives, like for example, as you mentioned, for the Saudi government, uh, it's done for 33 million or 34 million population. So that's their stakeholders list. And again, this is not including the external stakeholders, but if you look at the country level digital transformation, and the sheer volume of it, and the size of this project, it just complicates everything. So again, it goes back to the documentation part and the clarity that what you want to achieve in this digital transformation journey. I think that's very important.
Yes, and also it's very important to be realistic in implementation. How you can implement, how you can put the dividends between these projects, so that you can actually deliver this on time. And I actually, and I was happy to see this in the DGA report for this year. Like some people have jumped 70 degrees. This is really amazing.
Yeah,
And to jump
exponential.
this
Yeah,
in 1 year, it's really
yeah.
amazing.
That's exponential growth. Normally this is such kind of initiatives, they take long time. And again, there's a lot of different constraints and variables playing into the equation. So it's not easy. So wow, that's amazing actually.
Yes. Okay. So this takes us to actually, this is, for example, the prioritization of projects, how we prioritize the projects as well, how we put it in years. Actually, this will be initiatives and projects. And by this, actually, this will be like how we are doing the kind of linking these things. Maybe this is the end of my slide. I make it like what I promised is around 40 minutes. So I think maybe if you have any questions, Samir, from the audiences, or how to do it.
I haven't received any questions yet. Audience, if you have any attendees, please feel free to document. We'll give you a couple of more minutes, and we can take it up with Mr. Shalan. If you can document your questions, that would be great.
Okay, while we have some questions, actually, I need to talk about the kind of what's going in for project economy, as well for the projectized or functional implementation of the project. This is a very important thing that I need to talk about also. The issue is like this. Usually, we have a kind of, we used to run the functional or the operational activities based on our functional departments. So we have HR department, we have finance department, we have procurement department, something like this. Today, when we are talking about the project economy in general, then we are talking as well about how we are moving from running departments, several departments, to how we are running the projectized. Meaning that when every time we have a kind of initiative, this initiative will be across the multiple departments, multiple functions.
Workflows, multiple workflows.
Exactly. And here also we need to engage everyone, and we need to make this like a kind of project. So it will be a project with a lot of stakeholders here and there, and they will be taking care about this kind of initiatives, how it's delivered, how it's generating its value. It's very important. Sometimes, of course, it's a kind of mix. Usually, in the transformation, you cannot run everything projectized, because sometimes something is related specifically to certain function or related specifically to certain departments. So it will be very difficult for you to manage it in a projectized manner. So it's a kind of mix. And when we talk about project economy today, and when we are talking about disciplined agile or this kind of stuff, then we are talking how we are mixing between projects and functions, and how we are trying to find everything a kind of projects. Like let's take, for example, car manufacturing. Car manufacturing, every part of car manufacturing, like making the engine, every year you have to modify the engine, you have to do a lot of things. So this by itself is a project. And then you have another project for other things. You are linking all these kinds of projects. So this is very important thing. Similarly, what we are doing for smart cities, for example. For smart cities, we are doing the same thing, that we are having a lot of things working together, and we are planning them into multiple phases of the project. And so sometimes
NEOM is a great example. Line project is a great example. Just the scale of these projects, they're setting the standard not just for the other companies, but for the world itself. And it's so futuristic, almost like a sci-fi movie, level of technology being implemented there. So you're absolutely right, and it becomes very important to plan this as a project and ensure you carry along everybody. On that note, I actually had a couple of questions in terms of where do you see the TMO going forward, and how, because now, especially after the COVID times, there is a lot of disruption in the business as we know it, the simple brick and mortar model of businesses. And there is a huge transformation or shift towards digitization or digitalization of whatever we are doing right now, right? So this meeting that we are having, for example, is on a webinar, and we have people connecting from Qatar and and different countries, I believe. So this would not be normally possible, although this technology was available long ago. But just now, the business need or the need of the hour is everybody is going digital. So where do you see, Mr. Shalan, as a country, as Saudi Arabia, and generally the business environment, the need for the TMO and the digital transformation itself?
Actually, we see a very big demand actually, and when you see this kind of DGA or digital government authorities here in Saudi Arabia, how they are now evaluating this every year, then you have to see how the potential is coming for digital transformation as well for innovation. The same thing is for TMO, BMO, CMO, everything. These kind of words actually we were not used to hear them so much
Yes.
for a few
Yes.
years. Now we are hearing them too much as well.
Yeah.
For example, the value
Yeah.
management office. Maybe you will teach us about the value management, how we share a value
Yeah.
and how we generate the value out of what we are doing. This is very
Absolutely.
important thing.
The benefit realization and the value creation itself. Even in PMI standards, the value is now added as part of the whole system. If you recollect the old PMI standards, the project was focused on planning, documenting, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and then closing. Right. Now it's integrated. The value chain is integrated. So what value you're creating, how it adds value to the business. I think that's where the whole the ecosystem is now going towards generally.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I think Mr. Mohammed asked the same question that I was about to ask you, is how to convince the top management that the value of the of improvement and digital transformation. So how do we get the buy-in, the $1 million question?
Yes, actually, usually the top people in the organization should be involved and should be convinced, because actually you need to show them the value. First of all, there's two things. Here, for example, in the government entities, as we see in DGA, they are having this kind of evaluation. It's a yearly evaluation coming out to the top levels of every organization. So everyone is questioned about it, and every senior manager is have his own targets against this goals. So this is very important. So this is coming from the top people in the organization. Other than this, actually, you need to make the business value for them. Sometimes we as team or we as people working in digital transformation, we have to show them how, we need to benchmark actually where they have now, where they have, where they will be after 10 years or few years.
Yeah.
Based on some studies that we see, because you see a lot of big giants, actually big organizations, have disappeared because they miss the train for digital transformation.
Absolutely,
This is very
they're
important.
prime
So
examples, amazing examples. Xerox, Intel, Microsoft themselves, so many examples over the last few decades, and they have missed the bus. And Nokia, again, another example. They just felt, for whatever reason, they didn't want to, they didn't need the technology itself. So yes, you're absolutely right. And so building on that, how when we build this buy-in, I think it's part of the visionary, the owners itself, that they need to be visionary themselves to be able to see where the future is going, right? How do we? Is there any platform, or is there any such with your experience, and you are the expert, the guru in this. So for the best interest of the audience, how can we identify or learn about these new technologies as just as a professional who would want to learn about new technologies out there or new way of doing things? Is there any venue that we can go into?
Yeah, actually, there is a lot of frameworks, first of all, for digital transformation. One of them is 6O, MIT have its own. A lot of big organizations actually and universities have their kind of digital transformation framework. And anyone who is working in digital transformation journeys should have a kind of awareness about these kind of frameworks. And then he will see what will fit him. Because usually you'll find these frameworks, the digital transformation frameworks is not like very much mature like what we see, for example, in project management, like BMI, something
Yes.
like this. BMI have started since 1969, so it's a
Yeah.
long journey for them. But this is not the same for digital transformation. So still we are seeing a lot, it's evolving. So you will see a lot of schools, a lot of frameworks, and that's in here where you come, you will kind find the kind of experts who can guide you in certain points based on your case, actually, because it's not, again, it's not one size fits all. So
Yeah.
this is very important
Yeah.
thing. And on the other side, actually, based on technology, then you have to actually have a kind of research team who are supporting you with what kind of technologies that is good for you. Maybe you can have a look on similar examples. So, for example, if we are talking about smart city, then we have kind of benchmarking for smart cities. How it's benchmarked, what is the best smart city in the world, so there's an index actually usually published every year by IMD, for example, about the smart cities, all the smart cities and how they are performing. So when you see this kind of report, then you will understand that for this industry, you find these are the leading cities, and these are the technologies they are working on. These are the initiatives they are working on, so you can take care about it. On the same time, the research organizations like Gartner, like Forrester, like others,
Yes.
like IDC, are building a lot of reports. Sometimes it's customized reports based on certain industry or certain business line or something like this. So usually it's a kind of that's why we are putting learning and research as part of the
Yeah.
alignment functions. That is very important for a kind of journey. In this slide, actually, you see
Yes.
this learning and research people are very important because we cannot stay like what we did
Exactly.
before, just to have a kind of school that we are doing since 10, 20 years, to have the same school.
Absolutely.
It's not
And
working
even
anymore.
just the life cycle of the technology itself has shrink so much that it becomes obsolete in matter of years, 2 3 years, and then you're totally different platform, different technology that's been adapted. So you have to always keep that looking outward and see what's happening out there, and how can you be fastly adapting to that. Like, for example, now the digital payments, almost cash is are not being used outside in the regular markets. You go to bakala also, you are a supermarket, you just pay from your phone or your watch, or if you have an Apple Watch or something, you just pay it directly. So that's on a daily basis, our life is already changed in the last 2 years, especially here in Saudi Arabia, I believe. And I'm sure everybody here in the audience or the attendees can also agree with. And also, going back to my another question that I would want to ask you is, if I'm an employee, a normal employee in an organization, small organization or a medium sized organization, and I believe in digital transformation, as I understand the importance of it, right? And again, it's linking with what our attendees just mentioned in the comments as well, is how, if I have to go and get their buy-in or put this out in front of people to see that, guys, we need to focus on digital transformation, because everything is going to be digital in the near future, unless it has already become digital, right? What can an employee, as a normal employee, do about it? If you can give some guidance or some tips to us, that would be really helpful.
Well, actually, everyone has a role in digital transformation as well in innovation. Because maybe you have seen this actually in some big organization, they have a kind of innovation time. So they have a kind of innovation. If every employee have a kind of slot weekly, 2 hours or 3 hours with some budget, so that he builds some kind of innovation and initiatives. This is very important to have it with everyone actually. And in case your organization is not supporting innovation, as not supporting digital transformation, then I think it's the time to leave this organization and find another one, because it will be vanishing after some time. So rather than keeping in an organization that is falling, let's go to another organization that is
that's focused on,
yes, focus
absolutely.
on going up.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Shalan, for your valuable insights. And I think the whole attendees and the participants enjoyed this session. It was really valuable for everybody, I believe, and very engaging and very crisp and concise and to the point. I think that's the beauty of this whole session. Again, I thank you everybody for joining here today. I'm Samir. It's been a pleasure hosting you all on behalf of PMI KSA, and we look forward to having you all in the next webinar. And please keep in touch with our LinkedIn channel, and we have our social media handles. Thank you again, everybody. Have a pleasant evening. Take care and stay safe.
Okay, thank you, Samir. Thank you very
Assalamu
much.
alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.